Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go. Hi, everyone. Today's Wednesday, July 9. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. Remember, Pro members, we've got our midday Moneyball, and we'll be going through a number of things, working through this particular cycle. I'll also be on the Mentor Q platform today. We'll be talking about using these levels and trading into them relative to trend and learning just some good techniques about how to work in these very sideways markets. All right, looking at the E-mini S&P, opening range low, 62.70, opening range high, 62.76. We broke both below and above. And so this is very common when our VWAP action looks the way that it does. Sideways formations, incredibly common. So what does Supertrend tell us? That we've got ourselves some resistance above here at 6,286. Support actions maybe come from our ATR, our ADR, average daily range. And that number is pretty far away from where we are right now, right? These numbers are really the baseline, 62.25. There's a lot of sold puts underneath us. Not sure if they're going to move those at all. But the copper tariff, wow, that was a big one. We'll talk about copper today. So what's the trade? I would say the ranges are the trade. We are inside of yesterday's motion, and yesterday's motion was inside of the motion the day before. So what could we do? We could run all the way to 6,300, or we could collapse right here at 62.82. So this is an area of real contention. Prior day's high looks like 62.89. I would suspect that that would be the line in the sand for upward targets today. If we break through 62.92, any shallow pullback that holds 62.90 gives us a buy zone. Dips also buys. Look, 62.57 seems like a fair support zone. Perhaps taking the trade at 62.62 will give us a nice shot at some sideways action. We had 9 days of upward flow, and now we've got 2 days of downside flow. This looks like mean reversion to me. Also looks like the market's waiting on something. All right, and so that puts us in the range. Trend is down, momentum is up. It's a mixed bag, so the edges are going to be the best place to trade, not in the middle of the noise, and those edges begin at that 62.90 area. All right, let's go to the NQ. Same sort of thing. Mean reversion, very sideways, a lot of things compacted for the NQ. Opening range low, 22,900. Opening range high, 22,923, so very tight. Opening range, we broke the low of the opening range and went back into the prior day's formation. And we also have broken the high, and we are still in the prior day's formation. So if this were candlesticks, we would have literally this candlestick that we did on the 7th, and an inside candlestick on the 8th. Here we are on the 9th with another inside candle. The ranges are going to hold until they don't. So what is the top of the range? My thought it would be the value area high, 22,986. This zone, where our super trend tells us we have relative resistance, might make a fair short, 22,962, with the target at the high of the opening range, 22,922. Sideways, very light trading today, unless you're at those edges. It's an easy place to say, hey, listen, I think I'm just going to get myself 10 ticks or so. And the market action is so sideways that you easily can be on the wrong side of the trend. Now, that being said, when you see inventory accumulation like this, and then a break of that inventory, the pullback does give you the bounce because it is distributing at a profit. Most of the overnight inventory across the board is long. And so we could see some inventory correction to give us a chance to buy these dips. Watch your size. There's some pretty big wicks here. Okay, put support and what is this line? Put support looks like it's about 22,850. That looks like a nice area to position long action, and you can have your stop. It'll still need to be more than 15 points wide. Let's go to the YM. What do we have? Not quite the same, right? We had an inside day yesterday, and so we are sitting inside of the zone, but the trend is really fairly negative. Moving average, negative. So the bounces into the top of this area near 44,709 look like a pretty good area to position a short. If it doesn't get to you that far or you want to take some extra risk, you can take it at the heavy congestion right now, 44,651, but that's 50 points of risk, 60 points of risk. So I'd collapse to maybe a 5-minute and watch for a reversal formation. All right. The opening range in the YM, 44,496, high 44,534. So again, a very tight opening range, broke to the bottom, broke below, came into the low of 2 days ago. So it's still, everything's still sitting inside of the candlestick action from July the 7th. And we broke above it. Again, inventory accumulation, breakout, first pullback that holds gives you upward trajectory, right? Very nice area of inventory accumulation here. We're going to see a fair bit of buyers, probably at around 44,430. If we lose that ledge, looks to me like 44,317 likely to be that target zone. Trend down, momentum up, VWAP sideways, inside day, range-based trading. One more time. Micro Bitcoin. This one's going all over the place, but also range bound. Take a look at this. Wow, that's really range bound. So what are we staring down? We have a VWAP that is essentially sideways. We do have a lot of buying pressure underneath here, right? And we broke through this trend line right here. So price action into 110,000, not unreasonable, but I would suspect that it starts getting a little frothy up here. Pretty nice trade short, maybe at about 110,100. Your stop could be 110,300. Using micro Bitcoin, not a bad thing. Moving average, sideways, right? Up, down, holding support, inventory accumulation, and then a breakout. Get your mind focused on making sure that you can see these areas of good inventory accumulation. 3, 4, 5 candles on the hourly chart. They really tell you what you can do moving forward in price. It's a really great tool to use. But I still think we're in a range here. Opening range low, 109,240. Opening range high, 109,445. Dips look to be buy zones, right? And so those dips, I would anticipate to be somewhere around 108,880. Well, that's a lot of eights. Yeah, that might be a very nice space to say that you're going to position along and watch your stops right there. Okay, let's take a look at what happened to copper. This move here represented 1,000% increase in the implied volatility. Absolutely monstrous. Came on the storyboard of a 50% tariff being announced We don't know when, but that, of course, that's going to cause a lot of front loading. And so this chart is, wow, if you want to buy it, you can. I'm not going to do it right now. I think anything here is going to be short-term upside because they're going to come back. Potentially Canada, Chile, Peru, Mexico, those guys might get a reprieve. We only have 3 smelters in the United States. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to look at unless he comes back and shifts what he wants to do there. Of course, I mean the administration. All right, next, let's go to oil. We do have the EIA report today. Double topping formation, absolutely beautiful topping formation. Clean technical divergence. Oh my goodness, so clean technical divergence. We also had technical divergence here. Up at this edge, higher high, momentum average to the other high. And so that gave us a good area of downside pressure. Opening range for oil, low $67.78, high $68.19. We held the midline of the opening range, and we broke through into another topping formation that is now very likely to pull us back into 68. Not really sure what's going to go here. Dips are clearly buy zones. Trend is up. Momentum is down. They're looking for support. And so ideally, the support zone would be somewhere inside of yesterday's range. I'd love for it to come back to the 63 simple moving average or the point of control in this volume profile. That's definitely what I would prefer to see in general. All right. And so that would make long target entry 67.47, or if it never loses the closing VWAP of the prior day, 68.09, also a very nice long with just a little bit of wigglies right there. Notice the accumulation and then distribution. So if this line in the sand at 68.30 holds as the breakout of accumulation, could give us yet another test at the high before fading. In the end, though, we are still inside of yesterday's range. We'll just have to see what happens there. Markets feel very disjointed to me today. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is on a fade. Dollar is bouncing off of a very oversold level. It probably is bringing gold in just a bit. This is the put support area. Look at how many hours we've been sitting here, right? Whichever way this breaks, either lower between 3,291, you could have a sell stop there, or the break above 3,306, that's going to be the distribution or liquidation event in gold. Trend is down. Super trend shows this area of the opening range high, somewhere around 33.14 as new resistance. We'll see what happens there in this sort of break. But clearly, sell stops and buy stops would be the best entry, just chasing it right out of the motion into resistance. Opening range low, 3,308 or so. High, 3,313. So that leads me to believe that this accumulation event is going to give us directional motion. My thought is mean reversion. Momentum is very low, but divergent. Notice, here we have a low, and here's the pressure event. Here we have another low, and our momentum is higher. So my suspicion is that it is a break to the north. All right, let's take a look at SPY. Sorry, folks, didn't sleep very well today. I'm sure you can hear the energy tone in my voice. I apologize about that. SPY's opening range. Let's take a peek at that one. Low, $620.54. High, $621.51. Pullbacks, buy zones, caught in a range. Again, this is caught in a 2-day range formation. Feels like mean reversion. I don't know where the 100 simple moving average is, but it does feel like some kind of mean reversion. We are coming right in the top of super trend resistance. That puts us at about $622.30, maybe for the short. And then the target area would be the low of yesterday, $619.59. So far, trend is up and momentum is up. So, not a great place to short at this juncture until it shows some kind of topping formation. That's definitely what I would look for there in SPY. Lastly, we take a look at the Qs. Also sideways. Earnings season sort of kicks off on Friday. We have Morgan Stanley, I think, coming up. I don't know when that is. Maybe just next week. But financials always come first. And so we should get a fair bit of volatility coming through the event. Qs also sitting inside of July 7 candle. And today's candle is actually sitting inside of July 8's candle. Do we see a potential resistance area at 553.90? Yeah, I do. That's a probable short with a very tight risk, cheap. Momentum and trend are both up, so that makes it dip buying, and the dip buys into 552, 551.50 look like the best bets today. The point of control, however, that was me with the hiccups. No, I have not been drinking this morning. $550 even. Oh my gosh. High, $555 in terms of where the super trend says this one could expand to. I expect another sideways day, but it sure does look bullish right now. Just be careful. Watch your size. Another day of watching your size. You've got to be very, very careful here, folks. Anything can happen. Take care. I'll see you on the streams.